Uh, We don't quite have a quorum yet. We expect one. So let's start with our typical round-the-room introductions, and then after that's done, we're going to break and just get a briefing from our outside counsel on a couple of matters. And that will not be a technical executive session because we don't have a quorum to call that. But we will get a briefing for those trustees who are here on certain matters. And when we get our six, we will then convene the formal meeting. And if we have further need for executive session, we'll call it when we have our six. And then Charles will get to you as quickly as we can because I know you're going to be presenting on the financials, and thank you in advance for that. Go ahead, Paul, if you please start.
Paul Danu, Business Manager, Risk Assessment.
Leslie Ortiz, Frog Executive Director.
Leslie updated this. It's
Good morning, Ardo Plana, Comptroller.
Good morning, Jackie Michael, Director of Human Resources.
Aaron Randy, VP of Economics.
Morning, Eric Gillens, Vice President of Enrollment Management.
Angelica Morrison, VP of Marketing and Communications.
Jeff Stone, Chair of the Board.
Carrie Phillips, Secretary of the Board.
Ken Curley, Trustee.
Adam Zagat, President.
Yeah.
Gail Fraser, Assistant to Admin.
Bob Germani, Assistant to the President, Special Projects.
Nick Sonderger, IT.
Welcome, Nick. And who do we have up there? I see Nick. Is that right? Is that from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Treasurer Malaki.
Yeah. Hi, Nick. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Charles, I see.
Yes. Yes. Charles.
And-
Trustee with Treasurer Malaki.
And who else do we have?
Jeff.
Jeff Switek. And anyone else on? Let's
Good
see.
morning, Jeff. Can you hear us?
Yes, you're fine. Good morning.
Good
Hi, Joe.
morning.
And Bill Reuter, and I see Joe.
Yes, Joe Lundin, Executive Director of ITS.
Thank you. All right, so at this point, we will just have to go to a legal briefing. Jeff Switek, this is not a formal executive session, but you and Bill and Dr. Sagai will be meeting with 4 trustees, and we expect 2 more shortly. But we will, when we get those, we'll go into an executive session if we need it, beyond the legal briefing, and we'll have our actual meeting. So if we could excuse everyone except the trustees, Bill Reuter, Jeff Switek, and Dr. Sagai. That's how we'll proceed to keep things on track.
We're going to move everyone else in WebEx to the left.
informal legal briefing focused largely on item or two of potential litigation. And that was not a formal executive session. We now have 6 trustees present. Carrie, would you kindly call the roll so we can declare a quorum and start the meeting?
Yes. Ken Cooley,
Here.
Len Lenahan,
Here.
Amanda Lau is absent.
No, I'm
Candace- Oh, I'm sorry. Candace Morrison is absent. Apologies. Amanda Lau.
Still here.
Carrie Phillips present. Jeffrey Stone.
Present.
Cameron Lloyd.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Following from our discussion, past meetings and offline, I'd like to propose a motion that I be given the authority to enter into a 1-month extension of the operating agreement that exists between the college and the Erie Community College Foundation for the purpose of continuing negotiations on a revision of that operating agreement. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, appreciate that. We now have a couple of action items while we have our quorum present, and then we'll get our briefing on the financial statements. So let's start with actually Ken, if I may.
We have 2 items that are relatively small. The first one is disposal of one 18-year-old Chevy.
Amazing.
And the second one is a license agreement with the town of Hamburg for them to run a senior program in some location in our current South Campus for approximately 1 year. It'll produce income of about $80,000 for the college.
And this is essentially stepping into the shoes of the project Big Picture with Frontier CSD. They're leaving, and this new tenant from town of Hamburg would come in, continue to give us revenue from the use of that
Correct.
space.
Correct.
We discussed it extensively at the budget committee meeting.
So I would move for the approval of both of those items.
A second for both that motion? Second, Len, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Both those matters are approved. Thank you, Chair Crewley. Candace is not here with us today, but we can take a report on the YES renewal, which is a straightforward item that we renew each year.
Yes, and this is an opportunity program to support our foster care program that the college has been participating, and this is to help our students with any services that they need, as well as making sure that they are ready academically and ready to get into the workforce.
Yes, a very worthy program, one that we have renewed each year without controversy. It's been distributed on page 19. I'll take a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is approved as well, and I'm glad it is. Thank you. Now, the naming rights policy. This has been carefully crafted. I'll ask Dr. Sagai to report, but from my perspective, I read it carefully. It's been carefully crafted to clarify exactly what is going on with respect to the rights to name college properties and buildings. To the extent there's been any uncertainty over the years about where that authority resides, it resides with the college's Board of Trustees, and that needs to be made clear. We have consulted with SUNY in doing this. They have an overall policy applicable to all SUNY institutions, including us, and this brings us into conformance with it. But beyond that, I'll ask Dr. Sagai or others to explain.
I'll hand that to Leslie.
Yes, so we needed to update the naming policy, and in doing so, I drafted this and presented it to the policy committee. But in looking to update it, I referenced there was a prior naming policy that the college had previous to the last one. And I think this policy probably circles back more towards that prior agreement where it makes clear where the authority lies as far as making decisions as to naming and donations for naming our facilities. So you will see within the policy that it sets out a process, it sets out a procedure, and really that process and procedure aligns with ultimately the Board of Trustees making a determination, but it would lie with the president first, It also, the policy allows for the president to form a committee to evaluate and assess any proposals and set a valuation amount to a proposal, and ultimately to present any decision to the Board of Trustees for approval.
I would like to commend yourself and the committee for this work. This was
Thank you.
important work, and the only thing I would amend slightly in what you said is there is a significant role for the foundation here in identifying
Yes.
opportunities.
Yes.
And I think that's the appropriate role, and then presenting them to the president and through the president to the Board of Trustees of the college. And to me, that makes it, that is the right process, and to the extent that there's a major naming opportunity, there is that opportunity to have a committee with representatives from all parties involved to really make sure that we're seeking the proper remuneration for whatever naming right is being given up, and that it fits with the college's mission as identified by the college's Board of Trustees and its president. So I was completely comfortable, and I very much appreciate the careful drafting work that went into this, respecting some of the roots from which it came and some of the SUNY policies under which we all operate. Any comments from other trustees on this?
I'm a member of that committee along with Melody, and we did discuss
Thank
it
you.
in the committee, and we were agreeable to moving it forward.
Other trustees? Len or Cam?
Sounds good.
Okay. I think then we're ready, having read this in advance, to take a motion to approve this policy as presented. Thank you, Ken. Second?
Second.
All right, Carrie? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That policy is approved with great thanks to those who put it together. Appreciate it, and who evaluated it in committee. I think we are at the end of our...
We have to approve the minutes from
Oh, I'm sorry,
February,
pardon
and
me,
then-
thank
so
you,
before
that's
we
a
lose
good
Cam.
thought, Carrie, as our secretary. We've seen the minutes from the last meeting, and I had no comments. Anyone else? If not, a motion to approve our minutes from February 27th meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nice minutes, too, they were very reflective. I think then, unless I am mistaken, we have done all of our necessary approvals. Cam has a hard deadline at 10 for a class. Thanks, Cam, for making time to be with us here.
Cam, did you want to do your presentation quick, or?
Oh, yeah, can you?
Yeah, so I just have my monthly report from the students. So just at St. Campus this month, students celebrated St. Patrick's Day celebration on Tuesday. We organized the celebration featuring food, festivities, and the event successfully brought together students in a relaxed and festive environment, promoting campus spirit and cultural appreciation. The second event is what we call Standing on Business. Although the attendance was modest, the Standing on Business event was designed to reassure students that the institution supports them in all aspects of their lives. The event provided a welcoming space where students could share experiences, network with peers, and enjoy refreshments in a supportive environment. And the last kind of like applaud on the back for the city was they launched a wellness room, which provides students with a designated space for relaxation, mental health breaks, and stress management. Again, this initiative reflects the institution's commitment to student well-being and academic success by ensuring access to tranquil environments that provide emotional and mental wellness. Not too much on the event side at North and South, but the only thing I guess of concern from the North Campus students, I don't know if we're familiar with the program in Pearson. When I use it in anatomy, but it's like an outside, it's almost like bright space. So just a third party where students do like their homework, and it has like, great, basically it's where students do their homework and stuff. I guess recently some students have been having an issue with like financial aid, whereas financial aid wouldn't pay for it, I guess, or it would be delays in being able to get access to it or something like that. So there's just been an issue with Pearson recently. And I guess, I don't know if there's a possibility where the college could do something along the lines where they could buy the licensing for a certain amount of numbers, the students who they know the students are going to be registered for those Pearson courses, instead of students having to use their financial aid to pay for Pearson, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah. Wait, I will look into that with Adrian Rannick, just to see which program used Pearson. I understand exactly what you're saying in terms of how it could impact students' financial aid, and I will work with our financial aid department as well and get back to you on that. Thank you for bringing it up.
Awesome. That is the end of my report.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Enjoy the weekend.
You as well. Do we still have Charles and Nick with us, or are they waiting? I think I see them. CT?
Yep.
Oh, hi, Charles. Good morning. Hi, Nick. Thank you, and I apologize for having to accommodate someone else's schedule instead of yours this morning. But we appreciate you being with us. All of us have received the, I believe it's still in draft state, am I correct? Or have you actually finalized it?
I'll let Nick start it, but we're in final draft. We're ready to roll after this meeting. If you want these financial statements issued, we can issue as later as early as today. So bearing no concern from this group, we should be in a position to go.
Yeah, and we read them in that light, and I know at this time of year we get them, and they also, for everyone's reminder, they include references to ACC, the Auxiliary Services Corporation, ASC, and the foundation. I've gone through everything. I would characterize the picture as certainly brightening over reports that we've had in prior years. I think that's a credit to Dr. Sagai, her team, and everyone involved at the college to seek to put the college on a more sound financial footing going forward so that we are here for our students and delivering what we need to do. So with that as a prelude, and recognizing too that we have gone through this quite carefully at the budget committee level, if you could please share with us some of your necessary disclosures and your high points, that would be helpful, and then we can give you our sign off, because I did not see anything that concerned me with these drafts.
Hey, Jeff, can I interrupt just for 1 second?
Sure, Len.
Now that the approvals are done, I'm going to jump off. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you,
Bye,
Len.
Len.
Go ahead, Charles, if you're starting, or Nick.
Yeah, so I'll let Nick go first, and I'll talk about some more of the financials later.
Yes, and thank you for the work that went into this. It was obvious, and you guys have done a very fine job over the years for us. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it. So, good morning again. So my name is Nick Petronic. I help to manage the audit this year for the college, and Charles is the partner for this engagement. And we're just reporting on the results to reiterate on the fiscal year ended August 31st, 2024. We did go through with the committee a couple weeks ago in a more in-depth detail on some of our required auditor communications. So I'll do a brief snapshot about some of our communications, and then Charles will go into some of the financial numbers as well. And I'll also share my screen just so you can see some of the slides that we're going through. Okay, so as part of our required audit communications, our responsibility under GAS, so that's generally accepted auditing standards, we are here to plan and perform an audit to gain assurance or give an opinion on whether the college's financial statements are fairly stated and that they can be relied upon by decision makers as yourselves or third parties. We only own the letterhead opinions within this report. The rest of the report is owned by management of the college. As part of this report, we issue 3 separate opinions, the first being the financial statement opinion, and we plan to issue and move forward with a clean, unmodified opinion. That's the best you can do from an audit standpoint. We also issue an opinion in relation to your government auditing standards on internal controls at the college. We did not note any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses there, so that's a good, clean report as well. And then finally, we issue an opinion on your compliance with the uniform guidance as it pertains to your federal awards that the college receives. We did not note any non-compliance there or any question costs as well. So a clean bill of health across the board for the college. Real quickly here, we did not note any significant changes to your accounting policies, and there's no new significant accounting standards this year. As far as significant estimates go with the college, that would include any allowances over your student receivables, your liabilities for your compensated absences, which would be your vacation and sick time payouts. You also have your health insurance terminal liability, which is a significant estimate. And then you also have your post-employment benefits and net pension liabilities. And those are your major liabilities that are included on the face of your financial statements. From an independent standpoint, it's just important to know that we show no bias. So we are, Charles, myself, and our team are completely independent of the college. And you know you can trust us to give a fair opinion on your financial statements. And then other than that, we did not encounter any major issues during our audit. Arda and her staff were very helpful in addressing our audit requests and coordinating with other departments as well. So we'd like to thank them for helping for the audit and for another successful year. And then I'll turn it over to Charles to start going through some of the numbers.
Nick, can you go down the slide? I got stuck on the first slide. If that's what I'm looking at least.
Okay. Is this good?
It's the, I just see the first slide. What does the board say?
Just the first slide.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I just stopped sharing. I'll share it real quickly again and see if that helps. Do you see a graph now?
That works. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So on a more financial level, so some of these qualitative measures or discussions that Nick mentions are ones that we went into more detail with the committee earlier. But going into more of the financial aspect, and as the message was properly said by Jeff, some tough decisions had to be made in the past few years, budget-wise, to make the college where it is today. So certainly some significant improvements that we're going to see here financially. And so it doesn't mean that you're not out of the woods for the future, but certainly a good outlook in comparison with the past. So here, this first slide here, we show revenues and transfers in as opposed to expenses. So your revenues versus your expenses over 5 years, and there's a few different lines. The focus really is on the dotted lines are your true operation. When you talk about your fund balance and your fund balance policy, that's your operational revenues that you're bringing in, less any one-time aid that we exclude in the past, as opposed to your expenses. And the yellow dotted line shows your true budgeted expense. It doesn't exclude any changes in estimates from long-term liabilities that impact future payouts to retirees in 30 years down the road. So when we focus on the dotted lines, you can see that for the first time in 2023 and 2024, your blue dotted line, as opposed to your dark blue line represents your revenues, show that you're operating without those one-time aid and those the significant ARPA funds that were received to help finance operations in the past. As you can see, that's no longer part of the college over the last 2 years, but yet you're still raising revenue. So it was a bit where, okay, when we're going to stop receiving these ARPA funds, our revenues can go down. As you can see here, you're able to sustain those operations and you're able to generate additional revenues that exceeds your level of expenses. So if I were to put numbers on here, the dark blue line is your total revenues. It's at $105 million. Your dotted yellow line is your expenses that exclude any non-cash items like your long-term liabilities and estimates that I was talking about. So your dotted yellow line is what your true operating budgeted expenses are, and that's about $93.4 million. So the net change there between your revenues and your expenses is about $11 million, and that's how much you'll see on the last slide your fund balance grew by. The difference between the blue line and the red line, that's your true overall college position that includes those long-term estimates. That's a change, or the red line is $82.3 million, so that's a change of $22 million in that position. That $22 million is what you'll see in your financial statements, but again, it's not your budgeted unbalanced number. So a big increase in that position, but as we'll talk about, the majority of that is due to decrease in the liabilities in your retirement benefits that were mostly triggered with how the market and investment returns have been over the last few years. So if we drill down on the next slide, if we start speaking about revenues directly, your overall operating revenues decreased $1.3 million from the prior year. Of that, net tuition fees decreased $1.6 million, which is in line with decreased enrollment, which follows a 20-year trend here, although it's starting to stabilize, which is good to see. Federal grants and contract increased $0.7 million. That $700,000 increase is directly related to the career and technical aid that was received from the federal government. That program was actually tested as a part of our single audit with no findings. And your state grants decreased $800,000 from the prior year with the high needs grant that was received in the past that didn't come up at the same level this year. On the non-operating side, that's where the bulk of your operating revenues did increase. So your non-operating revenues and county contributions increased $4.7 million from the prior year. The bulk is the increase in county contribution. So they increased the rate at $3.1 million. Other increases are interest earnings, maximizing some market returns there at $1.1 million. And the federal and state student financial aid also increased $1 million. That's going to be directly offset by scholarships that help fund those scholarships on the next slide for the expense side. So on the expense side, overall decrease of $2.3 million from the prior year. Again, I think we're seeing, as we saw on the first chart, we've seen decrease in expenses with the tough decisions that have been made. But of that $2.3 million decrease in expense, scholarship expense did increase $1 million with increased state and federal financial aid. Salaries and wages decreased $400,000 from the prior year, which is very consistent on a budget of $45 million. And my assumption, again, I don't project the future, but my assumption is that now that some of the cuts from 2 years ago have been implemented, those salaries and wages are the ones that are going to be worth looking at in the future. Obviously, your salaries, your employee benefits represent the bulk of your budget. And so once those positions level out, and now we're going to start increasing with union contracts, that's where your expenses are going to start going up again in the near future. And then employee benefits did decrease $2.4 million from the prior year. Again, that is the total full accrual look of an entity when you consider those change in long-term estimates. So for example, your pension liability and your post-employment benefits liability, actuaries came in and said, we've been able to generate additional income from the market, discount rates going down, and so the liabilities were decreased for those. So the change in the liability affected a reduction in the expense. So that's where your employee benefits decreased by $2.4 million this year. Again, as your liabilities goes up in the future, because the assumption is that those long-term 30-year payout for your retirees, health insurance and others, that's going to go up again. So the employee benefits, it's good to see a decrease this year. Actually 2 years in a row decrease, but I don't believe that's going to sustain in the future. So certainly something to keep an eye on. Your cash position, cash is always a good fiscal way to look at how an entity is doing when we break out those non-cash items. So as you can see, you have 5 years of growth following the fears of what the pandemic was going to put on the college and enrollment trends. So as you're able to generate more cash, you're able to invest more cash, and that's what we're seeing at the college. So certainly it's a good way to maximize the returns there. And again, you're seeing 5 years of growth. It's a positive outlook, as Jeff mentioned. Decisions were made to keep that going up. But again, assuming the future, there's not going to be, assuming there's no other pandemic, there's no other one-time revenues that are anticipated to come in, assuming enrollment either stabilizes or continues to see a 20-year trend of decline. and assuming no more cuts are made, the revenues are going to stay stable and your expenses are going to start going up again with the union wages. So you're at a good position. Is this growth sustainable? I'm not sure, but you're certainly at a good place right now after the decisions that were made. And then on the next slide here, we talk about the fund balance and the fund balance policy. So as I mentioned, you look at the bottom, current unrestricted fund balance is $35.4 million. That's an increase of $11 million from 2023, which is what I mentioned. And just so you understand, when you look at the financial statements, you look at the bottom number, your net position is presented, you see this large deficit of $158 million. Again, that deficit is caused by actuarial estimates of future payouts. You're not allowed to fund those, and you budget pay as you go. So every year you budget for an annual cost for those. The standards don't allow you to fund those types of liabilities, but they require you to book them in your financial statement. So it's a lot of arguments for and against them, but that's what this picture paints. So although you show a large deficit because of the amount of employees that you do have on your books, once you remove those long-term estimates, you get to a current view of your operation, your fund balance. And that's where, when we adjust for those GASB statements and those liabilities, you have a positive number of $35 million. Again, $20 million increase over 2 years. When the theaters were in place, we used to have a management letter comment that we've included in the past, just so that the college was aware of the decline of the one-time ARPA aid and where things were going to go in the future. So there was kind of a complete view of where things were going to be. And now where we stand is just complete 360. So certainly a great job by this group here in decision making. And so yeah, there's not much more to say. I think it's a great job. There were a lot of fears, and you're at a good place financially. So as Nick mentioned, no material weakness, no significant deficiency, a clean audit opinion. You're spending your federal awards the way they're supposed to be spent. So on our end, it was a clean audit. So we're happy to field any questions, and we're available throughout the year if you do have questions.
Charles, I do have a question. Do we have a line on exactly when we will have the ASC and the foundation audits that I think are necessary in order to release ours? Is that correct? What's the sequence there, and where are we with that sequence?
Yeah, so the foundation is available. It's included in these draft financial statements.
Okay.
The ASC, I was responsible for that audit. That was issued in December 31st, 2024, right. So that's available as well. Those two are in your draft financial statements. It's really just on this meeting here taking place. No question that we'll issue. So everything's in there. It's ready to roll.
It seems so. I was just remembering last year there were some delays and something didn't happen. So, okay. It sounds like we're in good shape. Our budget committee chair is Trustee Crewley. Comments, observations?
I'm very happy with the audit. It's a clean audit. The last 2 or 3 pages show that there are no deficiencies or weaknesses in our systems. So this is all a credit to Dr. Sagai, to our control, and everyone else involved in it. The enrollment is trending up a little bit, and we're in good shape. So. Great audit. I'm very happy with it.
Thanks, Ken, and thanks for your work on the budget committee. Art, I really should have mentioned you sooner. I know a lot of work went into helping our auditors assemble this information, understand it. You've been adding context along with Dr. Sagai and the full team. So I want to give you a chance to comment as well, and then Dr. Sagai.
Honestly, I just want to thank our auditors for their hard work, because a lot of time and effort goes into preparing these financial statements every single year, and every component matters, the timing. We are hoping that in the future we're going to streamline this process a bit quicker, but I just want to say thanks for everything.
Okay, Dr. Sagai, sum up?
Absolutely. Echoing thank you, Arda, and certainly thank you, our chair of the budget committee, Ken Crewley, and everyone in the board. I do want to go back to what the auditors talked about, stabilizing enrollment. I think like every other higher ed, it's really about ensuring not only stabling enrollment, but retaining and getting our students to complete and graduate. So I think focusing on that, equally focusing and investing in the experience of our students. So the college is really being thoughtful about reinvesting back into the student experience in general to make sure that our students are getting the ultimate experience. And then lastly, the college is constantly assessing and reassessing our operation to make sure that we are being very efficient. We are using technology. Workday has been a huge investment for the college, and so really ensuring that we are keeping up with the time to make sure that we're being very efficient on that. And then just to add to that is really just ensuring that in terms of staffing and bringing and backfilling areas that are necessary, but also be mindful of area that we need to really sort of retire because the need is not there. So being very mindful, but the goal is for us to continue reassess, and because of enrollment and retention, we want to make sure that is our priority at the college, to make sure that the college is stable, not just for this, but for generational to come. So thank you for the hard work.
I would add that we have taken some of the unallocated fund balance and actually put it into a dedicated account for future improvements, future college needs, so that we remain within our policy in terms of the amount of the unallocated fund balance. And while we're talking about that, I know that enrollment is always, something that we focus a great deal on here at the college. It has stabilized, I would say, and we are moving in the right direction on enrollment. But it's still, we're facing demographic challenges and a lot of competition.
That's right.
And it's by no means certain that that we will always have rosy picture on the enrollment side. In fact, we're working every day to create that rosy picture. So I'm confident in what we're doing and happy with that. I'm not that worried about OPEB and the OPEB overhang, the OPEB. Every public entity has that, and while it's real in the sense it's so far into the future that as long as you're able to handle the pay-as-you-go aspect of that, and we are able to do that, every public entity needs to make its peace with a big OPEB overhang and just ability to handle it as a pay-go, at least until the state gives us the ability to create a reserve fund against it if we ever find that opportunity. But that's another example of, while it may look like our bank account is healthy right now, we do have an overhang 4 to 5 times in excess of that over us. Now, yes, over time. But what I do worry about is the state's financial picture, because right now we're really surviving, and these numbers are what they are because we have the 100% floor dating back 5 years. Had we not had that, we would be substantially in difficult situation, as would every other community college. So it's not just SUNY Erie, but as the state in the budget, the one House bills and the governor's proposal, and hopefully soon the actual budget, has included the 100% floor. I have not detected reasons why that would go away. It would be devastating to community colleges across the state if it were to go away. I think our legislators and the governor recognize that, but we live under the possibility that the state could have a financial reversal. We're in negotiations with our 2 largest bargaining units. To some extent, I want to make sure to reassure everyone here and the public that while we're mindful of being in a better financial position, there are many challenges that we face that could easily deplete that money. And we have to, as good stewards of the college, bear that in mind constantly. So those are my comments, and then I'll just have Ken comment. Amanda and Carrie, what are your thoughts in response to all this?
I'm fine with the audit, and as you've outlined, we're trying to keep ourselves positioned to have reserves because something may happen. Given the climate in Washington, it's highly likely that the state of New York's going to get whacked in some way, and there'll be some repercussions in terms of cutting back costs. So we're in a much better position to ride that out here than we would have been in the past because of the work that's been done.
And without getting into too much detail about our budget, I don't think there's appetite here on the board to raise tuition while our students are under a lot of pressure emanating in large part from DC right now. We don't know what's coming down the road, and to add more uncertainty to it is not probably going to find favor with us. Carrie, what do you think?
Happy with the audit and thankful for everybody's hard work that went into it, and I remain cautiously optimistic going forward.
Okay. Amanda, your thoughts?
Very happy with the audit. Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work. Thank you, Arda, for everything you guys have done. In the same boat. I'm a little concerned about predictability going forward, so we're just going to be cautious in how we move forward.
Well, Nick and Charles, thank you very much. Sensing the consensus of our Board of Trustees, you're free to go ahead and release these reports. We don't have any comments that would impact your ability to do that. We appreciate your work.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Very well. All right, we have a few informational items that I think we can go through relatively quickly. Chair Ken Cooley on the Budget Audit and Facilities Committee, the typical items.
Okay. Arda, any comments on the dashboard through February?
No, sir. Well, I think a lot of it was actually covered here during the audit. We're performing well, enrollment's looking steady, and expenses are below budget. Salaries, they seem a bit higher than prior year, but that's just because of the step increases. But technically, I still project that we're going to be under budget come 8/31/25.
Thank you.
And that dashboard is very helpful, Arda. Thank you for it. Your footnotes are helpful. I read them every month carefully.
The supplier report from Paul's office, nothing out of the ordinary in there, routine expenses, and it's been distributed to all the board members. The third item we've touched on a little bit briefly, and Jeff has mentioned some things about the state budget. From what I'm reading, it's highly unlikely that they're going to adopt the budget by April 1st. They'll be late. There's some issues that are unrelated to us, but that'll probably drag it a little bit. And the main thing that affects the college is there's some possibility of some extra funding that both houses seem to be interested in, one more than the other. I don't remember which one was which.
So, as far as the funding floor, the executive budget proposed to remain flat. Both the Assembly and the state proposed additional funding. So the Assembly proposed an additional $30 million, while the state proposed $9 million. In addition to that, the governor proposed $28 million for investing in high demand workforce programs. This is similar to the $8 million that was already released last year, and it had to do with healthcare workforce investment. Erie had received $321,000. So the executive proposed it. The Senate accepts the executive's proposal. However, the Assembly proposed $99.8 million for broader tuition assistance. I don't know the itty-gritty details, but there's definitely a lot of conversations happening at that level.
One thing to note is these one-house budget proposals do not need to be balanced. So there's a long wish list in there that often will not come about. I would comment, though, that the 2,900X that we get per student per FTE as the floor dates back now it's pre-COVID. So that has not increased one dime in 6 years, while our step increases have incurred, all of our expenses have gone up. So the idea that the ledge is actually looking at somehow bringing that north is helpful. And we have to watch carefully if that does. Right now we've been at 2,907 per FTE for 5-6 years as a floor. And yes, some additional money has come in various ways, grants and so forth. But that baseline is our lifeblood.
And from the state's point of view, they haven't really kicked in a whole lot more other than the stuff we're talking about now.
Yes, the broader SUNY colleges, the 4 years, tend to get the lion's share of the attention and funding. So we'll hope for the best. But I have not seen in the responses to the governor's executive budget anything that would suggest it's going south or down. The two houses are all seeking to add something, and so we were pretty satisfied, candidly, with the way it came out of the budget. The executive proposal was pretty solid. SUNY was praising it, but of course we always would like more funding if we can get it in this stage of the negotiations. We shall see. In a month from now we'll know more, and then we'll know where we are with our budget.
Moving on, we covered the audit, the facility rental reports, standard stuff. We've collected some money for rentals, and we've waived fees mostly for government civil service tests and so forth. The item number 7, there was some discussion about an event here on the North Campus on Labor Day weekend. James informed me that for various reasons that discussion has ended for this year. And so that might come back to the board, but there's nothing really to act on right now. There were some issues that just wouldn't let anything go forward. And then last thing is just our minutes from the last meeting. Thank you.
I'll take these next, thanks Ken, I'll take these items B, C, and D collectively because we are lacking Melody, Candace, and Len. I don't think, unless Dr. Sky, you have anything to report on those particular committees?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay.
Anything coming out of talent, diversity, equity, and belonging, Amanda?
So we have our transaction report for the month of February listed, just for informational purposes only, as well as our meeting minutes for February. But I do believe that we have something exciting to announce.
That's right.
Podium.
So we have our new Jacqueline Michael. Do you want to come up and just tell the board? Jacqueline is going to be our Director of Human Resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead if you wait.
So we're very excited about this.
All right.
Yeah, so I've been in HR for 10 plus years and I'm very passionate about this field. And, you know, during meeting Dr. Sagai and the interview panel, I was able really to hear ECC's mission with, you know, connecting with students and maintaining that. So I'm just really excited and thankful to be a part of everybody's goals here with that and happy to be aboard. So
Thank you.
Good, well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Where do you come to us from? What was your most recent position?
Yeah, so my most recent position was with Goldberg Sagala,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I worked at M&T Corporate and in downtown Buffalo there in their
Great.
HR department, so.
All right, well, we're glad to have you on board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Technology, Carrie, anything on the workday front or any
We were
related
gonna give
items?
we didn't meet, but we were gonna give a brief update
okay.
on Workday.
Oh, good.
Oh, is Kathy here?
Joe.
Oh,
Joe.
Joe's
Oh,
here.
that's where
Hi,
Joe
Joe.
is. I got him.
Thank you, Joe.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me. So just, we did this back in October. And so Huron only billed us until January. So all this is based on the bills through January, just so you know. So we're missing February and March. But so as Dr. Sagai spoke about, you know, we're being very thoughtful and deliberate how this funding is spent. Just as a reminder, for this optimization project we had for the student portion of Workday, there was a $4 million agreement for the periods between June 23rd or June 2023 and May 2026. So since then, you know, up again until January 2025, we have about 50% of the overall project expensed. So we have, you know, just about $2 million that we spent, and we have obviously $2 million remaining. So 65% of that has gone to optimization projects, while we had the rest of it go for operational. We don't have a separate operational, so we're using the optimization expenses to cover operational items that come up as well. Part of this also, we had grant funding contributions of $365,000 as well. So that helped to cover some of the projects and some of the operational portions of this as well. So where we stand right now with like the student operational projects, we had a total of 149 of them. So right now 77 are completed of those, and then we have 39 that we're taking on internally. So we're not using Huron, which is the consulting company that we work with. And then we have 31 on hold cases. These are either on hold because we don't have the resources right now because we're working on operational things, or because we're just waiting for further input. And then we have, just for optimizations, we have 2 Huron cases that are in progress right now. So some of what we've done from the optimization point of view, just in these few months, is that Workday enhanced how they did some of the charges and waivers in financial aid, and so they optimized that, and so it provides a little better reporting and charging. That's called the student financial period records. So that got optimized. We did some financial aid verification flags reviews. So Huron helped us to implement some enhancements that alleviate the manual cleanup of financial aid reports that are needed by the Department of Ed. We identified all the reports that use either preferred name or legal name. In Workday, we have many students who may use a preferred name instead of their legal name. And, in Workday, it wasn't always clear how we were reporting on that. So we went through and tagged all the reports. And now the next step, we tag the reports to show if it's using legal name or preferred name. And now we're going to work with SUNY to understand how they want that data sent to them. Are we going to use a legal name or do we use the preferred name? And this is just to make sure that we're always using the students' preferred name when we should be and using their legal name where we have to, just so as students always identify correctly. And then we did a lot of work with Pell and direct loan reconciliation. There was a new enhancement that came out from Workday where a new hub is configured, and it helps for the reconciliation of Pell and direct loans. So what we're currently working on is alternate loan processing. So there's some private loans that aren't federal loans. So these are alternate loans, and a lot of this is done manually. So we're working with the Burzar's office to implement integration with a company called Elm, who helps find private loans out there for students. And then this integration will help, so those are processed in a much more streamlined way. And then we're working with how admissions counselors are assigned. Currently, the assignments, are not made, they're made more manually, and this will automatically assign admissions counselors to students based on the program of study. So we're streamlining that. And so upcoming projects, major projects, we're going to be working with the Burzars to enhance a lot. A lot of it's around residency enhancement. So currently the residency, like determining residency, is done based on the initial application that the student puts into this to ARI, and it's based only on that zip code. So we wanted, that's not the proper way to do it, and so we're working with Huron to find a much better way to do that, because we also give them a questionnaire that asks them their current address. You can only have one address on the application, so that's one of the problems, is that you can't have two. So a lot of people put their, not their local address, but their more permanent address, and then it's harder to determine residency. So we're going to work on enhancing that, and then we're going to improve the private scholarship process. So a lot of students get private scholarships. Those are harder to view right now, and it's more of a manual process, and so we're going to be streamlining that as well. Operationally, we've been doing a lot operationally as well. So operationally, hold on, everything just froze. So operationally, we're working on the financial aid 2025 award year setup. So every year we have to do award setup for financial aid, and it is a very large project that involves not only financial aid but the ITS department as well, to help go through and set up everything, make sure we test everything. So that's a huge set up each year. Workday releases come out twice a year, so whether you want them or not, this is the benefit of using a cloud product is that it gets updated, but as those enhancements come out, sometimes they're deprecating fields that we're using, or sometimes they're adding new fields or new features. So we're constantly having to look at what's coming up in the new release, working with all the functional areas to make sure they understand what's coming up in the release, and then seeing what's going to affect us or what we want to take advantage of, like new features, and then working with those functional areas and sometimes our consulting partner Huron to get those features done. We're also going to enhance the Brightspace integration. Brightspace is our learning management system, and we feed students into that system, if you will. So that is a kind of clunky process right now, and we want to really streamline that to make sure the students get in right away so they can be taking part of their course. Sometimes, for different reasons, students aren't getting loaded properly, a small percentage of students, so we just want to make sure that's working correctly. We're working on a Parchment self-service integration. Parchment is what we use for transcripts, so students can go to our website, put in some information, and be able to get their transcript automatically without much need for registrars to do anything. As long as they're in the system and they have a current record, it would just go through and process it. Parchment would process it and send out the transcripts. We're also creating new advisory cohorts, and these are like for more specialized programs like clinical, lab tech, EMT degrees, where we're assigning an advisor who is specialized in that program of study automatically, so they're advising the correct students. And then we're working with DegreeWorks. DegreeWorks is a SUNY program, and that's used for transferring to other four-year colleges. So we're working with integration that integrates Workday with that program, so students can go out to DegreeWorks and see what other schools they can transfer to if they're transferring to a four-year school. And then we're streamlining the SUNY Global ID process, which is a number that is assigned by SUNY to identify everybody in SUNY as a unique person. That hasn't always been happening good rate with employees and stuff like that, so we're just enhancing the process to make sure that students and employees are getting their global ID process on time, because it's important when they're participating in SUNY shared services such as Brightspace and other initiatives.
Thank you.
So, with that said, the team has been doing a great job. The ERP team that consists of Pat McNair, Teresa Golan, Dawn Tutuska, Simon Fendiger, Ryan Strachan, Peter DeCarolis, and Dave Arlington. So what we've been able to do is take on a lot more projects from here on, which obviously lowers our cost because our staffing is much cheaper than a consultant. And when we do need to use Huron, what we're trying to do is have them be more guidance and give us some of the starting steps and then take on that work ourselves. So we don't have to pay them to just hold our hands the entire way. So we've been making great strides in that. I'd like to also thank Kathy Colesto for her guidance and support, and Sarah Phillips, who's our project coordinator, and she is helping with all the budget processes that are related to this. And then obviously all the functional areas that have been so patient and has helped so much and worked and provided us insight, guidance, and a lot of the testing that's been done.
Thank you so much.
Joe, thank you. If the college were a human body, the IT group would be the heart, and the IT process would be the bloodstream. So
That's
we're
right.
very happy that you know, you're focusing here. I like the points that you raised about, you know, using Huron only to the extent necessary to get overall guidance and then do as much in-house as possible. It reminds me a little bit of what's going on over at South Campus, where some of our people have been able to take over some of the work
That's right.
with resulting savings for the college. Dr. Sagai, I think from the board's perspective, and Joe, the main questions we have is, do you remain confident that we're on the right track on the IT, ERP system? And do you think that the timing is playing out to your satisfaction? Do you have any frustrations that we should be able to address? Or is this now at an operational level that we can be content?
I think to everything, and thank you for that question, Jeff, to everything that Joe mentioned, this is a lot of work and a lot of moving parts. What I could say is that this is not only, and I know Joe talked a lot about the technical behind that scene, but really the point of all this is to make sure that it's ease on our students, the current students, but also our prospective students, but also the functioning area. So financial aid is moving forward quickly and efficiently to respond to students. But equally as important is for us to generate reports so that we know the status of how many students have clear financial aid, how many students have been advised, so that we have a tangible report so we can send it out to our faculty and other staff to be able to meet those students. So I would say it's moving in the right direction. Certainly there are some complications that I know the IT and Kathy managed to deal with, and I know we get a lot of support from the SUNY system. So I think we're moving in the right direction. And the key for us, like everything else, is to be self-sufficient, so that we have an internal operation and talent, and we have hired into the IT appropriately to make sure that talent is here and to move the college in the right direction.
All good? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dr.
I mean,
Smith.
just to echo on that, you know, it's a constant moving target because there's new policies that are coming out from SUNY all the time, new federal policies. So, you know, just when you think like we got it all set, you know, something else comes out. But really the team has adapted well to this. They're, you know, now understanding the system correctly. And like Adim said, you know, I went very technical on some of this, but the basis is that the changes we're making are to ease the burden on the student and ease the burden on the employees as well.
That's right.
So,
Thank you.
That is the proper focus. Thank you, Joe.
thank you.
I do want to keep technology in the rotation about every quarter.
Sure.
Sometimes it'll come from your committee, sometimes it may be a special report if we have issues, but technology and transportation are on my mind and the minds of the other trustees in particular. We heard from Cam Lloyd, our student trustee. Colleen Quinn, unfortunately, is unable to attend today, so we don't have a College Senate report unless Dr. Sky, you want to give us a quick, I don't know if you attended or...
I'll have some
Oh, you
of that
got something in your report. As for mine, the weeklies, of course, with Dr. Sagai, dailies almost continue. The monthlies with the Rath Building executive team at the county level. There was a very fine event at Northland. Dr. Sagai will talk about it on March 19th. Just a tremendous event where we opened up the auto repair and maintenance lab there with a tremendous outpouring from the community and attendance. Excellent. And then I just would note that there's one of our major sponsors over the years, Mr. Scott Beeler of West Her, is being honored by UB Management School, Business School, as Executive of the Year on April 4th, and I and others plan to attend that.
That's right.
So I think that's as far as I'm, as you know, always out doing the community stuff where I'm an ambassador for the college. But Dr. Sagai, you want to pick up there and
Sure.
give your report, please?
Absolutely. Bob? Okay, so we got a lot going on, and these are not necessarily all events that I'm able to attend. I would love to, but I have our college faculty and staff who attend those. So you can see our bowling championship. They got our championship in the NAJCAA. As you can see, the swimming championship, we hosted this. This is a national that our college hosted, as well as some other sport events that you see, the basketball. So it's really one of the things that our goal, and certainly my goal, is to feature our sport, and not only for our students and college community, but also the fact that our college has been hosting and really amplifying that the college is really hosting nationally in terms of really in the sport field. So very excited about that. We also participated in the National Guard student development, assisting those students. Our veteran side of the college really did a package care to support those students who were called to do the National Guard. So very, very proud of that, and very proud of our students and staff that were participated in that. We also hosted Lead Her Ship Women's Expo. This was really focusing on young women in engineering technology. So we hosted that at our North Campus to really get young women involved in technology in the STEM field. And then you can see as well, I think Cam talked a little bit about this earlier in terms of the wellness event, really being mindful about how we ensure that our students across all of our locations are being exposed to be able to have that opportunity to have wellness. And I think we're going to be doing some of that work as well in the HR to make sure that our faculty and staff is also getting some wellness event happening. Next slide, please. So this was, Jeff just mentioned at Northland, this was an exciting opportunity for our college. This is expanding our Northland partnership. Our auto tech, it's a 1-year certificate that is a stackable to the 2-year. We have about 30 students in as a cohort new. We are going to expand that to having another 15 cohort in that coming for the fall. And this, like I said, it's a 1-year. It's a partnership with Northtown and West Her, and we had people from the community, our politicians, and all were involved, and to see our students, and our students were there. So very exciting opportunity there. Also seeing the nursing career fair, we had a lot of students who are interested in our nursing program. So we are working with the nursing department to really find a way to expand that. As we also heard earlier, with our governors really focus on the health field. Nursing is one of them, as well as the SUNY Chancellor has been very supportive in expanding our nursing program. So we're working on that hard to do that. And again, you see teacher prep event, that's another area, as you know, just a shortage of teachers. So we are really working on that to really be an opportunity and a path to that field in teaching. So we have a very robust program to really create an opportunity for our students to go into the teaching field. Our student was awarded an EOP award with the Chancellor, and our EOP director went there to support our student who attended the award ceremony, as you can see. And then lastly really is the listening session. I did this last year. This is another opportunity for me to have to speak to our students, to really listen, but it is ending up being a discussion as well. This is really going across the locations that we have. We are going to be doing our North Campus. We did the South, the city, and probably North, and the Auto Tech is where we get an opportunity for me to really listen. This is our students as well. We have a different section for our students. We are going to also do this and host this listening session and a discussion with community members. So we're working with Bob and team to really create an opportunity. This really is going to lead into our strategic planning. This is some of the data that we are collecting to support our strategic planning for the college. That's good for that slide, okay. So tied to the listening session, tomorrow we are going to have our college day. This is an opportunity for all of us at the college. We do not have classes that day, so that means we have an opportunity to do professional development and really have an opportunity to meet as a college. This includes faculty and staff. And so we have a robust agenda tomorrow. So we will be talking about the strategic plan will be our first. And then the second part really is going to take two sort of kind of focus. One, on really continuing our effort on the prior learning that our faculty have been focusing on. The last time that I talked about enrollment, one of our effort is to really attract adult learner. And if we are going to do that, we have to be prepared as a college. How do we ensure that our adult learner get the support they need, both on the academic and the support, the student support service side of it? So our focus will be a continuation that for the faculty, and then on the staff side, we have Dr. Nate Barnett, who's going to have a conversation with our staff, really focusing on that. And so we have Lisa, who is newly hired, who is directing that effort to ensure that we are investing in our faculty and staff. So everyone is required to be there. We know essential worker, that is the campus safety and facility. We understand that we have to adjust to that, but the expectation is for everyone to come, because again, like I said, we do not have classes for our students, and so we need to take the moment to do that. Just a couple other things I want to highlight.
Before you move on, I just want
Sure.
to comment on two things. On the adult learner part,
Yes.
let's all remember the special money that the governor has
Yes.
proposed, $28 million to be sprinkled across and identified to cover adult learners in high need positions. So
That's
that
right.
ties right
That's
into
right.
that.
That's right.
And then as far as the Northland event, I spoke about it, but I would like to give a shout out to really 3 organizations. West Her, Northtown had a big role in designing that floor space. And when you go in there, there's 5 or 6 lifts and alignment, and it's just an impressive thing that makes Northland even more impressive than it was going in. And there were some folks, Jay and Bill in particular from the 2 organizations, who really put their stamp on that space, and that really helps. And above all, I would say to the New York Power Authority, because they were lauded at this event for having seeded it with $1.3 million of discretionary funding that they have. And so, of course, we're grateful for that, and that covered the better part of the cost of this entire thing. Interestingly, they have a $25 million sort of annual fund that they can utilize to do projects like this or support them or seed them. And I just want to remind all of us, and those of us working at the college, that as you're thinking about it, special initiatives, this is a good example.
That's right.
But we do other things. And I wasn't quite sure exactly, didn't need apparently to tie directly into power, or I'm not sure what their criteria are. It may be underserved communities, who knows exactly what it is, but I think we should have someone from the college take a hard look at their criteria, the Power Authority, and see what else we could ask them to help us with.
That's right. That's right.
I think sometimes those who ask receive. And I think we ought to not ignore the fact that they have $25 million that they are charged with distributing throughout the state to worthy projects.
And I'm glad you said that. We're meeting with the director to talk exactly that. So
Okay.
they're excited.
We did not talk in
about
advance.
You guys are so in sync. I love that.
So I got that one too.
Okay,
So
good.
hopefully I'll get some information on our report. And maybe I could have Paul do a little bit of update for facility. Please, thank you.
Right now, we really haven't started anything for the spring or for the summer this year. And similar to last month, we got most of our kickoff meetings starting next week for the Bell Center, the air handler unit in spring. We haven't heard any follow-up from the county on the fields yet, but we would anticipate, now that the weather is finally breaking on any given day, that would start pretty soon.
And hopefully with a groundbreaking of sorts.
Yes, that's still the plan. We actually just discussed that yesterday with Angelica, and basically just let her know that we haven't really heard anything. And the Kittinger, the classroom and corridor project, that's on schedule. There's kind of a long lead time for some of the HVAC equipment, but that would be expected to be here at the end of summer. We've already moved the classrooms or the courses in those affected classrooms elsewhere, so it should be minimal disruption, if any. And those are probably the biggest items. The atrium, that is slated now to kick off May 1st. They'll be testing pretty much daily to make sure the integrity of the bubble is doing what it's intended to do. We're moving courses out of there for the summer. When I say they're starting on the 1st, that's really just like prep work. They're not really doing any demo or construction. It's more of mobilizing and getting things up on the roof and getting prepared to go when spring semester ends on the 19th or 20th. And then they would be testing regularly throughout the summer so that we'd be able to get back in there for the fall. Those are the biggest things. Nothing's really started yet, but we're starting to get geared up.
All right,
South Campus?
very good.
Oh, South Campus, how could I forget?
I don't know.
It's going so smoothly, we're not even thinking about it.
It is pretty much. We, like, our guys, over the course of the project, there was things that kind of sort of fell through the cracks. So we are pulling all the wire, conduit for like communications, all that type of stuff. Facility guys, we're at about 90%. We probably got another week or two in there. And IT's following right behind us. I'm not sure exactly how far behind us they are, but I would imagine they're fairly close. So we don't anticipate any problems whatsoever from like the work that we're doing. And I know the landlord's got incentives to make sure there's no problems from their end either. So I would anticipate that we would start moving things in there at some point over the summer. I know Dr. Sky's had listening sessions with the faculty, the students, to try to help pick out furniture so that we don't have anybody, not liking the chairs or the color of the chairs or that type of thing. So
We will release the result tomorrow during the college day, and we will release that result to our students. This was the entire college voting on color schemes and furniture, absolutely. So we want to make sure that everyone is engaged in that process. So look forward to see which color scheme serve as the winner. So we'll have that out tomorrow. We also been given sort of an option for our faculty and staff to take tour if that is something that they want. Obviously, it is a construction site, so we do have to be mindful of how many could go at the same time. I also would like, again, to extend it to the board, to the trustees, if you would like to visit the space. I think it's really, it will be our model campus, I have to say, in terms of efficiency and the things that I think our students are asking for. I think that is something we could certainly, having the uniqueness of our different location, I think we can mimic that same kind of library concept, space for students, classrooms, and office spaces. So very excited about this, and like Paul said, it is moving in the right direction, and so we anticipate to get, to move in June 1st is the move-in date that we have.
So in a sense, with this, the new south construction is acting as a bit of a laboratory for improvements we may make at City and at North.
Absolutely. It is an opportunity for the college to really invest and listen to our students in terms of how they want the education delivered, and also listening to our faculty and staff and creating a space for us to facilitate that experience for our students. So very
the trustees are all going to tour it, and we're working with Gail to line that up.
Yes.
It's exciting. We'll have hard hats on.
so say you should get your hard hats.
No one is going. We do have red. If you like red, we do have a red color to represent the college. Just a couple other items that I think I want to highlight to just point earlier in terms of us really working very closely with the Chancellor's office.
Thanks,
we had some visitors from the Chancellor's office. Ricardo Neres was here. He's the Vice Chancellor of Diversity and Equity. So he spent an all day with us. It was really good to have him here. We also had a visit from SUNY trustee Candace. She's also the College Senate faculty representative. That is something that perhaps Colleen Quinn would probably talk a little bit. She had we had an opportunity to spend all day with her. Certainly our faculty and the Senate leadership spend with her. Very nice to have her here. And today, this afternoon, they may be here already, we have Valerie, who is the Vice Chancellor, as well as the new Vice Chancellor for Workforce. Chris White is also going to be visiting our college today and spend some time with us about just our college and the different initiatives that we have going at the college. So very excited to host those individuals.
That's Valerie Dent. She is the interim Vice Chancellor for community colleges. I spoke of her earlier.
Thank you. And yesterday I was at the March Presidents with the Chancellor. All of the 64 college presidents and universities were in attendance, and we had a very robust conversation about the state of higher ed and conversation about the Department of Education and at the potential of what effect it may have on us. So very robust, and always thank the Chancellor for his leadership in terms of really putting our student and our college at the front forward of all the things that are happening. And lastly, just a couple other items in terms of the outreach that we're doing. We were glad to be, and this organization has been in existence, but we are part of it now. It's the Western New York Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Development. So we are a coalition. We are one of the colleges that are participating. It is chaired by Stephen Tucker from Northland, so very happy to be part of that, and it's really going to put our college even more in collaboration with the business and manufacturing community, so very excited about that.
And Stephen Tucker did a good job as the host of that event that was talked about. It really was well attended by the mayor, the county executive, and a host of folks, and Stephen was an excellent representative of the college in Northland.
Yes, and then the last thing, there's a meeting that I attend. I am part of the Amherst Chamber Board, and so I was part of that meeting this week as well. So glad to be part of that discussion as well.
Exactly.
I think I'm good.
All right, that gets us through our reports, and I think we can, we're close to summing up here. On the transportation front, looking at our materials, I only would note that we do come up with Cedar Bus for renewal on May 31st. So to the extent we reach a conclusion that some change is made there, or whether we go forward there, we're under some degree of time pressure as we're getting close to the beginning of April. We know about the survey, and we know we've kept a spotlight on transportation. An update?
Not quite, not anymore.
So I have like a tentative draft of the RFP that I'm going to share with James and the deans of students either later today or tomorrow. We're looking at some changes, and again, it'll be further review. So we're also, that would be due, I think I have tentative date to issue it like April 14th or 21st roughly. I think they're both Mondays. It would be due middle of May in the anticipation that we'd bring it to the board in June if we were to go that route. We're hoping that, but we're also still assessing what we can do with the enterprise fleet program and potentially do it ourselves. We provided them our insurance information. Dean Perry provided them a bunch of information about the vehicles that are currently being used. We don't really have a good handle on the head count of students that are using it, but so it's moving along, and we would anticipate that something will be in place either for the June board meeting, or if not sooner, because if we decide that we can do it with enterprise and with our own employees, there's a lot more benefits of doing it ourselves. And there's not, like I think James had mentioned at the last meeting, with the potential for athletics, cutting their costs for team travel, having our own drivers who then, if we're closed or due to weather, they're truck drivers, so they'd be doing plowing for us to help with overtime. I mean, there's a lot of pluses for doing it ourselves. Plus the added flexibility where you're in the middle of September and the schedule just isn't working for the students. You can kind of adjust it pretty quickly on the fly. So
I will admit to feeling pretty warm toward that analysis. We'll have to just see as it goes, but I'm glad that the folks looking at this are trying to be broad-minded and not just say, let's have just a renewal of our current situation and hope for the best. We really got to take a look at what's working and what isn't.
Are we going to have enough time to review by the time our contract's up?
there's no service over the summer.
Yeah,
the service
Right,
wouldn't-
so the May,
the
so as
service
soon
wouldn't
as
start
the May
until-
is over, that's
Yep.
fine.
You're kind of gearing up for
It
September.
takes up like September,
Okay.
runs
Good
basically
question,
the it runs from the first day to the last day of each semester,
Got
like
it.
fall and spring, nothing in the summer. So we're trying to correct and tweak it. I've included them to provide like off-schedule rates, like if the SGA wanted to take a trip to wherever, for like, how, what would that cost? Whether it's an hourly, daily, mileage, you know, all the above. So to try to make it a little more flexible for, you know, one-offs.
And we will have all this information ready for our budget committee for April. So we'll
Okay,
have that
that'll-
information.
That'll be good. Okay, thank you. I'm glad about that. I have 2 items of new business that are brief, but any other items of old business that people want to bring up? Thank you, Paul. If not, on new business, I just want to remind everyone that commencement has been scheduled for Wednesday, May 21st at Buff State. It will start at 6, but we as trustees and others who will be in the dais should be there by 5 to robe. And if you happen to have it, your Gail needs either Gail or
Jen has sent it to all
Jen
trustees,
sent it
but-
out,
but
okay.
you also have it in front of you. If you want.
talking about the
filled it out.
robing
Thank
sheet. Yeah, thank you.
Otherwise I won't
Good.
do it.
Always take care of it in the moment, otherwise
Yeah.
it'll come up to
I
bite
already
you.
did mine.
And then lastly, I know this is not quite new business, but our budget season is coming up. We've talked about it, the committee's talked about it. And I hinted earlier, and I don't mind saying this, that I think we're disinclined, without having made a final decision, to impose a tuition increase on students who are in a great deal of uncertainty in terms of what's coming down from the federal government at this point. So without preempting the board's ability to make that decision, ultimately, I don't think from perspective of, you know, my view or the president and our budget chair that we're oriented in that direction. I think we will be looking to have a responsible budget that does not impose any additional stresses on our students. Any other matters of new business before we adjourn? If not, I thank you all for being here. Thank you, trustees, for your good comments and others. And I will declare the meeting adjourned at 11:14. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next meeting, April 24th.
We're good, Bob?